It's 9 a.m. so we can. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another monthly webinar session. Today, for this session, I'm very excited because we have a couple of guest speakers that I'm very excited to bring, not just for the fact that they're very experienced, but also for my interest in sports and my being a fan of the sporting industry. I'm very excited to actually have our speakers here today to speak about the Canadian sporting good industry and how Pakistani sports, who are particularly famous for their footballs, their sporting apparels, and just lately have been going viral about the football that we actually launched for the World Cup this year. So, great timing for that. And with an honor, I would like to welcome our two guest speakers here today, Brian Lux and John Irwin, who will be sharing their experience and talking about the industry today. So Brian actually is going to start the webinar today. He is the president of the Canadian Sporting Good Industry. Brian, I won't get into what the industry, the association is, because that is where you can actually take us through your slides. And John is a national sales leader in the sporting goods industry, having experience working at organizations such as Under Armour and currently at Jetty. So very excited to hear from you, John, and very excited to hear what you have to tell our Pakistani business, how to enter and how to actually sell into the Canadian sporting market. So without further ado, Brian, I'll pass on the floor to you to start off, and I'll just share my screen here so that you can kick us off.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So I'm as mentioned, I'm the president and CEO of the Canadian Sporting Goods Association, and we're we're a nonprofit organization that's been around for just over 45 years. We're a community voice active advocating the sustainability and development of business within the Canadian sporting goods industry. So a network of consisting of about 200 members representing suppliers, retailers, agents, teams, leagues, associations, and service companies, all related in the sports industry in Canada, and with some in Europe and also in the United States. We also have over 4,000 followers on LinkedIn, where we repost information on a regular basis as well. And the sports retail industry in Canada has a financial impact of over $15 billion a year. So it's a substantial industry in Canada. And our mission from the CSGA is to deliver beneficial member services that help our companies with their operating costs, current industry information, and actionable resources based on the needs of our industry, our members, and the betterment of the Canadian Sporting Goods Association. We do all that through our membership with the association. Our members are put together in a digital database where they can network and connect with each other. We host we work on events such as the one we're working on today, and bring some of our members together at those events, and they can collaborate and discuss how they might be able to do business together. We also help throughout the year when there's, through our communications, we have a press release service that we do for our members whenever they have updated news that they want to share with the membership. They get we repost that into our newsletter, so that goes out every week to all of our membership, and our members will see that updated information from those news releases. We allow our members to do job postings so they can hire and promote and recruit for positions within the industry, and we post that on a job board that we offer for free for our members, as well as posting that position within our newsletter as well. That newsletter is a weekly subscription that comes on behalf of the member, as part of the membership, and it's read globally by all of our members beyond outside of our membership. We have 52 weeks of information going out, And there's lots of announcements. If there's any events, we do spotlights on our members to help members see more information about them. And we also have a number of service providers that offer discounts and offers to our members that help with the operating costs of our members. And some of those in the area of shipping costs, payment processing. We use partners such as Moneris here in North America. We have hotel discounts, and we also have a bank payment transaction discount when people are paying their suppliers through banking methods. The networking referral goes on all the time. We have people they reach out, and I help facilitate some of that as if they're looking to exactly where they want to reach out to. And we have a number of partners, different associations and different groups that are also listed on our website and in our digital directory. You'll see on our website we have a number of groups represented there. Their logos are there showing who they are, and links to their website for more information about those companies beyond just the digital directory. And yeah, it's through that some of our members will discover new things to work on or new business opportunities. And our membership is low cost. That's one of our big benefits as well. As a nonprofit, we keep those costs low. Retailers can join for about $250 a year, and suppliers for $500 a year Canadian. So it's a very affordable association for members to be a part of, and really try and help them network and grow their business. That's us.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian, for introducing Canadian Sporting Goods Association. I'm sure people can actually reach out to us afterwards if they have any questions or if they have any inquiries about this. I would encourage to reach out to me to connect or Ultima share. And Brian, if you're comfortable, I can share your contact details there as well.
Yes, please. Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may. So one of the main purpose of today's webinar is to introduce CSGA as a very important partner if you want to look and you're looking to expand to Canada. And that was the main purpose of today's webinar, because I think if you are an active exporter from Pakistan or starting a business in Canada, thinking about entering the sports and goods industry, CSGA is the best partner we would recommend, because what we have seen over the last 8 months, they have been fantastic with the Consulate. We have been working very closely with them. We are trying to also do an event in the summer with them, and their network is huge. And that's the main purpose, that we want more people from Pakistan, our businesses, to join CSGA so that they can be part of this strong network and get the advantages from this network. So thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. And with that being said, I'll pass the floor now to John, who will actually speak to us about a little about the Canadian market. Being a sales leader in this industry, he can share his experience and his expertise so that Pakistani business can understand the market better and position themselves strongly when entering or expanding into this market. So without further ado, John, I'll pass the floor to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, just to give you a little background on myself, I've been in the Canadian sporting goods industry for about just over 20 years. I've done a variety of roles from merchandising and into sales. I started off my career with the Adidas Solomon Group back in the early 2000s. Spent most of my career with Under Armour, growing that business here from when it was small to the kind of the breadth that we grew it to. I worked with the CSGA for about 18 months prior to Brian joining, and now I'm a national sales manager with Yeti. So today I've been asked to take you through a little bit of how to kind of position and sell and give you a little bit of landscape of the Canadian market. If you want to go to the next slide. So just on a quick agenda, we'll kind of go over through some market stuff, kind of the Canadian values, some identity, differences within regions, solutions versus products, value and cost efficiencies, and talk a little bit about e-com as well. And I'll touch a little bit on procurement. So on the first slide, Sorry. Yeah, so when you're entering the Canadian market, it's really important to understand the unique characteristics of Canada. Canada's landscape is not only geographically vast, but it's also culturally diverse, requiring business to adapt to different approaches. Just to give you, I'm sure that some of you obviously know Canada. Coast to coast, Canada is about 7,800 kilometers. When you talk about it from a geographical standpoint, when we bring product in through port on Vancouver, it can take about a week for that product to arrive in a warehouse in Toronto. And then vice versa, shipping product from Toronto out to Vancouver, for example, would take another 7 days. So it's important to understand kind of the vast nature of Canada. This also means like acknowledging, we also have to acknowledge kind of the distinct regional variations in consumer behaviors and preferences. Procurement can pose specific challenges as companies must navigate also regulations and local laws that are not always uniform across the provinces. We're going through right now in Canada, actually, with the pressure we've been put under tariffs from the United States, where there's a process going through right now where we're trying to break down some of these barriers between provinces to allow for business to flow easier across the country. Right now, it can be difficult from a business standpoint to work in different provinces, and we're in the process right now of trying to make that a little bit more ease of work. So it's important to recognize these intricacies, and it's fundamental to kind of the success of establishing kind of a foothold or trying to get yourself into the market within Canada. Next slide, please. So understanding the values of Canadian consumers is really important to successfully market and product positions. Canadians place a premium on quality and durability, gravitating towards products that make long-term promises of value. Additionally to that, the eco-conscious is on the rise. Sustainability is becoming not just a preference, but a criteria for many consumers. You see on the slide here, this was a very successful campaign that we ran through Yeti that was showcasing a plastic cup versus a Yeti cup. And the plastic cup is, excuse me, is wasted. It's a one-use product. And when you look at the Yeti cup, it's wasteless. So it can live on for a long period of time, or yes, can remain for a long period of time. We had this across a variation of drinkware, coolers, and such. And it was probably one of our most successful campaigns, as it really kind of spoke to Canadians and how we are becoming much more eco-conscious in our purchasing decisions. Health and wellness is also very important for Canadians, and it's a significant driver in purchasing behavior. It's forcing brands to align products with these values and have a strong inclination towards also supporting kind of businesses that suggest that companies can benefit from emphasizing these partnerships and sources. Especially in the sporting goods industry, we're obviously seeing that through my time, the participation level, or the participation and conscious level of being healthy has continued to rise, and you can see that through the expansion of brands that have already had a foothold in Canada. But you can also look at the brands that are coming out of Canada. You look at brands like Arc'teryx or Lululemon, Canada Goose, okay. These brands are be able to be born out of Canada as a result of understanding that health and wellness and the success that brands are having with that. The local brands are also able to identify with the Canadian consumers as well, which can give them a bit of an advantage too. The essence of Canada's identity can serve as a powerful tool in marketing strategies. You take a look at the image up here on screen. This is from a Sport Check campaign that they ran 2 years ago. And obviously Canadians are very known for being apologetic and saying sorry a lot. And this is kind of taking away that connotation to say that, hey, we're not sorry, and crossing out the sorry means something to Canadians when you're marketing within Canada, because we're like, nah, we're not sorry, and you're in there and you're working hard, and I'm not apologetic about how I'm doing my business in the gym. So by tapping into these patriotic and national pride Canadians feel, businesses, then you're creating that emotional connection with the consumer, and be able to capture them as audience, having that emotional attachment to a brand or a company that allows you to be able to delve further into what they do, and it's not just a product, but it's be able to be part of kind of your value set as well. Cultural sensitivity is also paramount. Recognizing and respecting the various cultures and contexts across Canada allows for more effective engagements. Canada's a population of immigrants. We have been from the 1800s, and Canadians will gravitate obviously towards our culture in Canada, but they're also very respectful of where they've come from as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act to be able to identify and tap into the culture set within Canada. But once you do, then the consumer is really going to be able to adopt well to your product or your message. In the next slide here, this is this is talking about, we obviously have two official languages in Canada. We have two official languages in Canada, and the translation is very important. Working within the province of Quebec, there's a high set of regulations in terms of language, and they have, we call them language police, that will monitor very well how your message is showing up. It has to be in French, but also they have to they also have to be able to be culturally correct. So this one here was a Columbia advertisement that they put out probably about 4 or 5 years ago. The English variation of this was be the GOAT. And when we talk about GOAT, it's the greatest of all time. When it translated into French, it meant literally to be the GOAT, and to act like a goat. So this marketing campaign hit the Quebec market, and instantaneously they had to pull it within days because of the pushback they felt around the misuse of the translation in markets. So it's very important. From what I've seen and experienced within the Canadian market, the Quebec market tends to run. If it's a European brand, it can run a little bit ahead of English-speaking Canada. If it's not a European brand, like this American brand, it will run a little bit behind. So at my time at Under Armour especially, we saw massive growth in English-speaking Canada. And there was a delay of about maybe 18 months to 24 months when Quebec then we felt that growth, that same growth happening in the Quebec market. So I don't think there's not many other countries that have the unique paradigm of Quebec and the balance of Canada, and really having to market differently and specifically to that market in order to unlock it. Once it's unlocked, you can do a lot of business in Quebec, but there is some nuances there as well. Differentiating marketing strategies by region is also vital for kind of making an effective pitch. We just talked about the Quebec side of it, obviously being cultural, but there's also there's an urban and rural side of Canada as well, and you can see these two dynamics in the picture I posted. One is downtown Canada Place, I think it's downtown Toronto, and the above one it would be a ranch that you'd find in Alberta. equally important markets for us. I actually just came back from a business trip to Saskatoon and looking at some retail out there. And the cities are they're obviously much smaller than Toronto, but the vast farmland around it has its own rural population, and those individuals need to spend money as well. They have different activities. Obviously, within Yeti and Under Armour, there was a hunt fish component to our business, an outdoor component to our business, which really spoke to the rural parts of Canada. And we had to speak and market and present product differently to those consumer sets versus being in the hubs of Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, or Calgary, where the consumer is different. It's their employment is different, their mindset's different, their pace of life is different, and to be able to and they need to be spoken to in a different way as well. The lifestyle side of athleisure is far more important into the cores of the cities versus the functionality of goods when you get into more of a rural setting. So it's important to understand both sides of this, and then be able to tailor those marketing strategies specific to be able to speak to each one of those consumers. This is an important one. It's when we in kind of my career and working with the brands that I've worked at, it's important to be able to look at what you're doing in terms of solution, not just a product. It's very easy to well, it's not very easy, but you can be able to sell a product. But selling a product tends to be a one-time hit. When you want to be able to sell a brand, that brand needs to be able to offer solutions to what consumers need. Kind of in today's competitive landscape, it's essential to be able to move past the offering of just products and have these solution-oriented ideas. Identifying kind of the specific pain points that Canadian consumers face, whether they relate to the convenience, sustainability, or health, whatever their intent or what their focus is. Businesses can position themselves as value partners in those areas to be able to offer those solutions to Canadians. Additionally, kind of showcasing how products fit into everyday life enhances the attractiveness of the product and the brand, and can drive those strategies and help cultivate trust and building those relationships with consumers. We're seeing that right now within Canada. Again, the trade war that's going on between Canada and the U.S. is forcing Canadians or forcing some Canadians to make a choice on the relationships they have with the brands that they use. And there's a good chunk of Canadians that are shopping Canadians and have abandoned or trying to abandon U.S. brands as a result to send a message. So within the trade war that's going on, there's been a intrinsic trust that's been broken with Canadians, and now they're looking for new avenues and new areas to go and build those relationships with. I'm sure a short-term lived issue, but even in my line of work, we've seen some retailers that have walked away from American brands and said that we're not going to carry them, not carry them forever, but for now we're going to take a break from some American brands. So really building that trust and loyalty is very important with the Canadian consumer. As I've mentioned already, the economic conditions inevitably shape kind of consumers' behavior. So businesses must emphasize value and cost efficiencies in their offerings. Establishing clear messaging about economic sensibility of products can resonate strongly with consumers, especially in challenging climates. So leveraging promotions strategically not only appeals to those looking for kind of more budget-friendly options, but also enhances brand visibility in a crowded marketplace. So understanding the nuances of price elasticity can guide business in developing effective price strategies that resonate with budget-conscious consumers. Over the past, since the pandemic, we've definitely been in a kind of lighter semi-recession within the Canadian and North American landscape, and as a result, it's been even more important right now to be able to show not just that you're giving your product away, but that you're be able to provide value at those price points. And again, whether you're providing value at a price point that is budget conscious, which is there's a wide range of businesses in Canada that operate through this model. Definitely on the sporting goods side, whether you're looking at a Canadian Tire or a Walmart or a Decathlon out of France, these brands are definitely offering great value to a budget-conscious consumer, and have a strong consumer set that shops those retailers. As you move up the scale, you look at brands like Sport Chek or Foot Locker and Champs or Sport Experts in the Quebec market. They're offering a mid to high range offering that again is speaking to consumers that can shop into that economic state. And then we have higher price brands like Sporting Life, for example, which is it's about a 16-door chain through Canada that offer kind of a higher price point and push the consumer more into an athleisure and luxury consumer set. So being able to have those, and brands can play across all three of those banners, depending on your product offering and how you're able to segment your product range to speak to each one of those kind of economic buckets. And speaking through the kind of online, offline presence, it's a highly digital marketplace, and establishing kind of be able to build a robust online and offline presence is key to attracting and retaining customers. Optimizing e-commerce platforms not only provides a seamless shopping experience, but also fosters higher conversion rates. Omni-channel strategies ensure that consumers enjoy consistency across all touch points, whether they're shopping online or in store. And maximizing visibility across diverse platforms can really enhance the brand recognition, accessibility, ultimately contributing to your market growth. As I mentioned in the previous slide, like there's, we have 80% of Canadians live within 100 kilometers of the U.S. border from coast to coast. Within those segments, you have, like I said, you have bigger cities that sit in, but you also have rural areas, and for the more rural settings, yes, online has become a powerful tool for them. They have the ability to access larger portfolios of product, and have the ease of shipping them to their place or their place of business, versus having to drive into cities and such to be able to find the goods they want. And then within the cities, it is definitely that omni-channel approach is very important, where we're either seeing consumers do their research online and purchase in store, or vice versa. They can do their research in store, try stuff on, but then enjoy the convenience of having products shipped to their house, opposed to having to go out shopping and carrying product around with them all day. So be able to tap into both sides of the experience is very important. and also building that loyalty base or that loyalty database is a powerful tool for retailers to then be able to communicate their specific messages out to those individuals through social media or through email. As they build up their online presence, they're obviously able to speak to those consumers in a very effective manner as well. And then successfully entering into the Canadian marketplace involves overcoming kind of some procurement challenges. It's important to have a thorough kind of understanding of import regulations and trade agreements for smooth market entry into Canada. As I mentioned, importing, we mainly import through the West Coast, and then you have to kind of work through a variety of different provinces to get to Toronto, which is probably where the main warehousing in Canada happens, which is in Mississauga, not far outside of Toronto. Forging strong local partnerships can provide businesses with invaluable market insights as well, fostering goodwill. The careful supply chain and logistics management is also vital to minimizing bottlenecks and maintaining efficiencies. Many brands experience this, especially through these bottlenecks in the Vancouver port. Bringing product in Vancouver can definitely add on days, if not weeks, to importing goods, which when you're looking at delivering products at a certain specific time on the retail floor, that aligns back to your marketing strategies, and you experience these delays through port, it obviously adds complexity to the business. So to be able to understand the true flow of goods through Canada is important, and not just a calculation that says, well, if it gets on a truck in Vancouver at this time, it'll be in Toronto by this date. There's other variations that can definitely impact that. And then also understanding kind of the local regulations, certifications, we'll build and be able to align those and be able to work through those. Definitely builds up your reputation in Canada and allows you to operate a little more smoothly within the Canadian marketplace. So just in conclusion, it's important, like, just to recap the critical insights we discussed today. Kind of understanding the Canadian market requires a strategic approach that will emphasize kind of local adaptation, and understanding the different consumers that reside within the Canadian marketplace. The diverse nature of Canada means that marketing strategies must be tailored to fit the regional dynamics, as we spoke through with the likes of the Quebec example and the balance of Canada. But really prioritizing that trust and transparency in your business practices is essential for building those relationships within Canada and within the Canada businesses that you may be supplying from a sourcing standpoint, but also building those lasting relationships with Canadian consumers. And ultimately kind of employing these strategies will enhance the prospects that you have within Canada, and will put you in a good place for successfully pitching and positioning your products within the Canadian marketplace. Did anybody have any questions or further comments or insights that they want to discuss?
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for the wonderful talk. Very informative, and I think this is a very good summary of what needs to be done if you want to enter the Canadian market. So we are thankful for that. I just had a quick question regarding the development yesterday. So as you know, yesterday Canada imposed tariffs on sporting goods from the United States. So I was wondering, I mean, and that opens up potential for a country like Pakistan and our exporters back home. So just wanted to, if what kind of sporting goods are being imported from US into Canada as of now.
I would. I think that's a low amount.
Okay.
Most of our goods do come from, like, especially in the brands, like the two Yeti and Under Armour are both American brands. And we source and bring. We don't source. We procure product from factory into Canada. So there are, like, if you took a company like New Balance, for example, New Balance produces a line of footwear that's made in the USA, and it's a popular line of footwear. So that they would be impacted from bringing product into Canada from the US, but the amount of manufacturing that actually takes place within the US would be definitely aligned to more higher end products, because you're obviously not building, you're not getting the economies of scale or the lower pricing that you would out of overseas factories. I don't see that as a big implication on Canada. But to your point, companies are looking for different sourcing partners. I know that within the tariffs that have been put on China, that's going to have a bigger impact on products coming into North America,
for sure.
And I think that would definitely be an opportunity for you to be, or for Pakistan to be able to look as an alternative sourcing partner versus China.
So we are very fortunate that our ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Salim, has also joined us. So good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us. Any other questions from our house?
Actually, John, one question on my end. From your experience, when a country is hosting an event like, the World Cup, for example, coming here, obviously that builds the whole ecosystem for many goods for fans, for sporting teams, other different areas. What is an event like that? How can Pakistani business, for example, leverage an event like that to bring in their goods into Canada? How would you guide it?
It's a good question, and I don't know if I have a good answer for you right now. I may have to think about that one, because you need to like in that question, are you looking to be a product provider for a company, or are you looking to be able to get your product to retail in Canada?
So from both perspectives, like, if we can actually sponsor some company, like, our products not going as white labeled, or like, getting that opportunity to leverage e-commerce, for example, like, how would you strategize your marketing, or I guess, like, leveraging this attention from people into like sports to actually sell your products? That's the main idea.
The only I think that probably looking at being competitive, I think within Canada, if you're trying to be competitive within the private label market, and sourcing through that, and I think that if you took a company like Canadian Tire, for example, who have a massive distribution, they'll look for goods that are specific to events like World Cup, for example. Now, if you went through the channels of like a Sport Check, they'll be aligned with Adidas, and they'll be bringing in goods from kind of Nike and Adidas to support World Cup. And that's kind of that mid to high tier consumer profile we talked about. If you're looking into more of the value side of it, there's probably you would have to be able to. I think your best bet is probably to try to get aligned to one of these big companies like like a Walmart or a Canadian Tire that's going to be able to, and it's probably going to come down to a competitive price standpoint, to be able to produce these goods and get them to market. And then from a brand standpoint, if you look at like the companies like I work for, we don't do the sourcing within Canada. So we would rely on our US counterparts. So, for example, if it was Nike or Under Armour or Yeti, they would hold the partnerships with suppliers to be able to, and then as a result of that supplier would then bring goods into Canada. So I think it's a bit of a two-pronged approach to be able to either be able to establish yourself with brands on a global scale and be part of their supply chain. And then if you're looking for more of a regional play, I think you'd have to probably try to get into being able to supply through some of the value banners, whether it's Canadian Tire or Walmart. The other thing is also what we're seeing a lot on the online platforms is, and I'm sure you guys are aware of Marketplace. So you can list your goods on a Walmart.ca, or I think you can list them also on Canadian Tire as a third-party vendor. So you show up as a part of that ecosystem. So you have a vendor base that's then able to, or you have a wholesaler or a retailer that you're able to show your product through that retailer without them necessarily purchasing the product. So you're just selling direct to the end consumer. Within World Cup, I'm sure that you're going to see a lot of that, even through Amazon, to be able to get your goods in the market. And more I think about it, if you do use those avenues of Marketplace to be able to sell your goods, and they resonate and speak and do well, then you're going to be able to expand that past those marketplaces and actually kind of be able to do business.
Understood. Thank you.
So we have a question from Shamroz Khan. Shamroz, please.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for your insightful presentation. It's been very helpful. I have a question in regards to recently I've been to Pakistan and looked at the different sporting industries, the industry that we have over there. We have a lot of quality products that we can bring into Canada, but obviously there's, when you compare with China, Cambodia, Vietnam, the competitive edge on pricing, their pricing is more competitive. How can we bring those products in, because the quality is mostly better? Like when it comes to Pakistan, in certain products the quality is way better. But how can we penetrate the market or bring for a startup business that's trying to come into Pakistan to Canada with those products? Is there anything that you can tell, John? Thanks.
When you talk about these specific sports, like what sports are you referencing?
So basically, if just like first thing first, obviously soccer balls is one of the main items, but the paddle rackets, paddle and pickleball, those are the most upcoming sports, the fastest growing sports, I guess, right? And Pakistan has been able to make really good paddle or pickle rackets as well. So if there's any way but obviously China has a competitive edge in pricing. So how would that? Is there any strategy that where we can bring it to the Canadian market?
Have you looked at I know there's some brands that have been starting up. I think Jewel is one of them within Canada. Have you looked at any of the brand, have you had the conversations with the actual brands, and is that where you're running up against the pricing conversation?
Specifically, not towards specific brands yet, but I've been looking at the supply chain in order those products, looking at the products and if they're viable for Canadian market, and looking at the quality, it seems like it is. because like you said, we prefer quality as well over here.
Mhm.
So those can be brought in, but obviously it's going to be harder because we're going up against bigger chains and bigger brands, right? So for a
Mhm.
startup, how would that?
Yeah, I don't know if like within the soccer ball side of it, yes, you're definitely up against some big players on the soccer ball side of the business. Within paddle sports or pickleball, I don't think that there's any brands that are resonating really high in that space yet. But I do think that the sport is increasing at a great pace, and it's not a you're attracting consumers. It seems like you're attracting consumers that are kind of in a mid to high price point kind of demographic. And I can tell you, I see pickleball products showing up in spaces that I wouldn't expect to see. Like we've got a retailer here called Golf Town, which is a golf specific channel, and they carry pickleball now. So to break into the Canadian market or into the North American market, I think you can either do it by, if you were able to find a agency or distributor within the market here that could then push your goods. That's one way to do it, or else, or you can put your own people, or if your company has the resource to be able to put somebody within the market to be able to sell the product. And I think that's probably and the previous question too, if you don't have distribution, or if you don't have a representation within Canada from a selling perspective, it does become challenging. It still is a very relationship based business on the sporting goods side, and to be able to build those relationships, it requires people to be able to do that. So I'd either look at distributors or agencies within Canada that can represent your brand, and I'd probably couple that with the marketplace through Amazon. I consulted with a guy who did ping pongs. He was a ping pong. He's Canadian, and he made ping pong rackets and tables. And he did his business completely through Amazon, and he was a global player within the ping pong side of the business. So I think there's ways of doing that through the marketplace side. But I think to really kind of to really get into retail in Canada, I think you need probably some sort of representation here.
Okay, perfect. And just out of supplementary, there's another quick question in regards to sporting as well. There's a lot of leagues out here, and since Pakistan is really good in textile, and hence we have like jerseys, like in terms of baseball jerseys, basketball jerseys, and like even ice hockey. There's a lot of products coming out from Pakistan in regards to the jerseys. So if that's the case, and what would be the best way to penetrate in that section as well, if there's anything that you can tell us?
I would probably say that there's either like there's companies in Canada that do jerseys from a team perspective. So when you're looking at a retailer here, Source for Sports, and they're a retailer, but they also do very good team business or association business, and they'll work with other parties, retailers in Canada to get jerseys and stuff, and then help to embellish them for the teams. I think that what you're talking about again is probably either being able to tap into some of these retailers and see where they're getting their goods from, and if you can compete on either price or quality with them. But again, I think you probably need some representation in Canada to be able to at least be able to participate in, whether it's trade shows or because I know like Source for Sports would do a trade show that you'd be able to attend. You can buy a booth there and be able to talk to them about your product. and there's also manufacturers within Canada, like Kobe Jerseys is a hockey jersey manufacturer. They would source their product from somewhere as well. So it's whether, I think it's if you want to be a source for textile and not sell to the end consumer, then I think that you need to be able to look at some of the regional players within Canada. Kobe would be an example of that. They make hockey jerseys and be a source provider for them. Otherwise, if you want to go direct to the consumer, then you'll have to be able to establish representation in Canada to be able to then speak to these speak to the associations or this and be a supplier of goods.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you from my side.
No problem. No problem. Okay. That's good. We solved all the problems.
I'd just like to add to what John was saying too, is a number of those companies that he's mentioned are all members of the Canadian Sporting Goods Association. And so there's networking opportunities to some of those companies. I was working just yesterday with a company that wanted to be in the baseball space, and I connected them with someone in that industry to get them some ideas and discussions regarding that. So, but that's available for members to network themselves directly and do that. And then, like John was saying, attending certain events, we do that as well, promoting our association membership to those companies that are at those events too. So it is a way to sort of get in the door to start trying to talk to them.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian.
Great advice. We have another question in the chat, and it's basically if someone is going to start from scratch into the Canadian market, what way you should recommend? Do they start from the e-commerce side, or do they start from the regional players, smaller associations? Please.
I think my recommendation on that, like the e-commerce space can be very noisy. There's a lot of there's a lot of people competing in the e-commerce space, and as well when you're starting to compete on certain terms and trying to get yourself at the top of the page of the Google page, let's say. It can become very expensive. You have big brands out there that will spend money to be the number one in that space. I think being able to target a regional area, and you can see them within Canada, and there's certain pockets within cities or within provinces where whether it's hockey or soccer, or even we see cricket becoming a big sport here in Mississauga and Brampton area in Toronto or in the GTA, and be able to locally target a certain area within a sport that you want to be in, and then grow from there. Because I think if you build that authenticity within those sports communities, word of mouth then begins to spread. And as we talked about, building that trust and loyalty with your consumer, you can lock them in that way. So I would probably suggest, and again, I keep going back to this, probably some local representation, or be able to align with with an agency or a distributor already established here in Canada. We'll be able to give you the means to be able to distribute your product into the right spaces. But I think it's important to really, as I said, Canada's a big country, so I think be able to identify certain regional areas and be great in those areas will then allow you to grow down the road.
Excellent advice. Thank you, John. I think there are no more other questions. If there are, Sheikh Saab, please. Yes, we love your football. So I think you are on mute. Sheikh Saab. Mute. आप mute हुए हैं. आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी. जी.
Very much for asking my question. So I have First of all, thank you, Mr. John is explained very well about because last year I was visited in Toronto and Canada market for business looking for software business. So my suggestion is regarding to the our commercial counselor in Canada, and before the World Cup is coming, they need arrange the single country exhibition like regarding where the Pakistan supplier go there and exit the products like soccer balls, sports apparels, everything like that to the manufacturing in Pakistan. So commercial counselor need to invite the local sports community association clubs and arrange the single country exhibition where we come from Pakistan and exhibit our products there. And before World Cup, that will be good. It will be good if that will be in this year. So this is my suggestion. Thank you.
Sheikh Saab, excellent suggestion. We have been working our, from Canadian side, everything is in order. So our relationship between CSGA, Kevin and John, we have already done all our parts. So we have already sent the proposal to Pakistan and it is with TDAP. So we are planning an exhibition in June of this year, mid of June. And we are just waiting for the approval from the TDAP government of Pakistan. And everything is done. We have sent all the details to them. And then that's the main, we are kind enough and we are fortunate to have this very good relationship between us and the CSGA. And the main purpose is to, before the next year, this summer, we want to have a big exhibition in Toronto. And for that, we have already sent the proposal. So now we're just waiting. Hopefully, they're going to approve it soon. They have approved in principle, but then they have to approve, in the final details, the dates.
I am That's fine. I know already about that because I am also executive member of Pakistan Sports Goods Association, and
very nice.
we are also doing with TDAP on this show, like delegation. Also, I think it's coming to Canada and America in June.
Yes. बस आपने पूरी भरपूर कोशिश करनी है हमारे लिए. Yeah.
It is rule, inshallah. We are already contact with our members and also circulate the emails to our members after Ramadan, and definitely that will be workable for all our manufacturer and all our supply in Pakistan.
We need your full support. So you have to also put your pressure on TDAP to approve it as soon as possible.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Zohaib, there is one other question in the chat.
Yeah. So John and Brian, there's a question from Ahmed Dar. Hi, love the session. Just wanted to ask, is there any platform where we can find a local trustworthy partner in Canada?
Yeah, become a member of CSGA. I think that's my recommendation. If you want to enter the Sporting Good Association, Sporting Good market in Canada, I think CSGA is your best partner and your best guide. So that's the beauty of it. They will handhold you, they will network you, they will let you meet the people. So CSGA that's the whole purpose of today's webinar. So CSGA is your best partner to enter the market.
Yeah, and
Brian,
I would agree. Thank you for that. And a number of them our members have years of experience. They've gone through what you've gone through in trying to establish themselves in the Canadian market. And so they can offer you that experience as to how they did it, depending on your product. And as John said, it could be regional areas as well. We have very strong representation in the West, in British Columbia, and in the East, in Montreal and Toronto. So it can play into that. And there's companies that specialize in that. Companies like Sources Sports cover the whole country. So we have a mixture of both that are some are very regional and some are very national.
Today's webinar is a testament to this fact. They are here for us on their own accord and helping us out. So I would totally recommend become a member of CSGA if you want to start the market, enter the market. Mir Saab, a question from Mir Saab, from all the way from Vancouver. Must be very early.
Yeah, it's almost like 6 here. The sun has not been out as yet. But yeah, amazing show, Altamash and Zohaib. Hats off to you guys for putting up John, Brian, and Kevin on the show and letting us know about the market. Slightly diverse question. Since we know John has been talking about cricket, soccer, and pickleball, the upcoming sports in Canada, and now picking up some leaps there. Uh, so, would you think that putting up a perspective of your brand there in the e-commerce space, and I know you said that it's quite noisy there, but now the big brands normally they are coming up with a different strategy of having an e-sport element to their presence, and a lot of other companies and a lot of other small unions and sports associations they are putting up into that space too. So do you think that would be a good strategy for the businesses coming up, maybe from Pakistan and any other market, to tap into the e-commerce strategy and to try to penetrate the local market?
I'm not super familiar. I'm not deep in the esports space, unfortunately. Kevin, do you have you did some stuff with on that?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I was just on the a webinar yesterday, web meeting with a member of the Esports Canada, which is like a national governing body for esports clubs and teams from colleges and universities across Canada. And we're just talking about the landscape of esports, etc., and how it is very club based, but it is getting into a team based environment now, and it is a growing space, obviously, right, with everything that's going on. But again, it is popular. There is opportunity out there. What I've found in my experience in the esports world is that it's still largely an unknown factor, right? And sometimes people don't take it as serious as it should be because the amount of people that are playing it. But it's so behind the scenes, than traditional sports. But the opportunity is there, and again, that's one of the reasons why. I was chatting with my friend Andrew yesterday and another gentleman, Scott Keller, who are heavily involved in Esports Canada here as well. I don't know. I hope that answers you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And with my some little experience in the market, working in the sports metaverse industry, I really found that the colleges, the smaller leagues in the towns and the cities, they wanted to have brand promotion campaigns, for not only for their the clubs and the teams they are representing, but also the individuals, the players, the celebrities they are carrying out with. With the integration of the blockchain, they've been trying to put up the to scale up the market, not only to raise funds but to raise the awareness and branding among the youth in particular, which are really a integral component of this play right now. But yeah, thank you so very much for your feedback.
Awesome. Well, just to be mindful of time here, one last question that came from Naveed Hokersab. Brian, maybe you can help us answer this. I know CSGA can help with this, but the question is, how do we become part of CSGA's list of service providers? Mr. Naveed actually has a Canadian-based international shipping and logistics service that he would like to offer via the CSGA portal. So, if you want to take that.
For sure. It's joining just like any of our other members, like the retailers or suppliers would join. So you go to our website and there's a service provider category when you join the membership, and that's for the ones that provide that service. If you want to offer a special deal for the Canadian marketplace, then that's something you would reach out to me directly, and we could discuss that, because we do have some specific shipping partnerships that are offering certain deals, and but to offer it in generally to everyone without having to do any discounts or anything like that, or you can offer a general discount to our marketplace. You just join through the service provider side, and then I put that information onto the website, and I also promote that through the newsletter.
Yeah, and just an FYI for everyone, I'll be following up with an email with the recording of this webinar, along with Brian's contact details, as well as the link to the CSGA, so that everyone here can actually review it, and then when interested, or like, you know, any questions about the association, you can directly reach out to Brian.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I guess with that, I'll wrap up our today's session today. Very, very thankful to Brian, John, and Kevin for joining us today here. John, amazing stuff, amazing content, and very insightful pictures, I would say, as well. Some great campaigns we saw through you. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope this was a learningful experience for many of our businesses here. And I really hope to actually, collaborate with all of you again to continue this momentum further. So thank you so much. And inshallah, I'll be sending a follow-up as well. And again, any questions or queries that come up from either ends, please reach out to me, and I'll be happy to address them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
opportunity, guys. Take care.
Thank
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.